My desk has a real issue with space. This is a 7-foot long desk, and the real estate on it is quite precious. And lately, it's been shrinking, especially since I went to a dual computer setup. On one side is my PC with the DLZ Creator, and on the other side is my Mac Mini with my Rodecaster Pro 2. It meets my needs perfectly, with one exception, and that's space. And well, Chungus here is quite notable for its ability to eat up space quite quickly. Again, if I was only rocking one computer setup, this might not be an issue. But since I've moved most of my workflow over to my Mac Mini, I have noticed that the 4 inputs for my DLZ Creator isn't as necessary. However, I do really love the versatility of the unit and some of the things that are unique to it, like NDI. So that's what's kept it here taking up elbow room. Until today is. This is the Mackie Dlz Creator XS. Actually, this is just the box. I'm actually using it right now. And I think with that, all of my problems have been solved. So let's take a look at this thing and see how it stacks up to its much larger brother, and see if I'm going to be missing out on anything by making the switch. By the way, I will be doing a full and direct comparison video between this and the Rodecaster Duo coming up soon. So if you're between those two boards, get subscribed so you don't miss that. So as we start the walk around the board, there is one major thing missing, and that is faders. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a fader junkie.
Oh.
But for me, space is more of an issue than the simple joy of sliding a fader up and down.
Oh.
Now, the buttons and knobs, they all feel fantastic, and I believe they've had some upgrades from the original unit. Those side selector knobs have a smoother throw on the XS, though the knobs themselves feel the same. All the buttons also feel the same as the original unit as well. Nice firm press, nothing feeling cheap whatsoever. The gain knobs are much the same as well, very smooth. I like that Unity is marked on their throw, which isn't always the case with these things. But also like the gradient light to indicate the channel is faded up. It makes it easier at a glance to see if your channel is gained up or not. And that's something that's otherwise missing when you go from faders to knobs that helps this transition quite a bit. And finally on the front, of course, you have that screen being quite a bit smaller, but really, when you look at it, it's still freaking massive. It makes the Rodecaster Pro 2 screen feel rather small, if I'm being honest. And again, it looks fantastic. So if you are a fan of the Mackie workflow on that touchscreen, well, you're going to feel right at home here. You still have all the fancy toys that came with the DLZ Creator, like AutoMix and the Setup Assistant, as well as the tiered workflows that depend on your working knowledge. So if you want to see my kind of review on all that stuff, check out the DLZ Creator review up here. Now, as you get around back, you will see that the only things missing are channels 3 and 4. Other than that, it's pretty much all there. I do have to point out, these 2 inputs remaining are still the same preamps as the big brother, both Onyx branded, with that 80 dB of gain. Now, also there, you get the Ethernet control for NDI, that USB and microSD expansion. That's really cool. Now, back to that screen. There are a couple changes on there I do need to mention. Now, you will notice 5 channel controllers on this thing, so a couple of those controls had to be moved over to the side control knobs. Also, the main output is controlled only through the touchscreen. Now, I do get why. For me, that main output only gets moved when I'm turning the unit off, so it is kind of a set it and forget it kind of deal. But I do like my physical controls. All the DSP effects are there as well, and honestly, offer more than enough to almost anyone using this unit for a podcast. But I have to gush over this again though. The large screen and the advanced controls in the Pro section are just a bloody treat to use. It all feels so good and it's so easy to dial in. And most importantly, if you're just starting to learn how to use these effects, the interface is super intuitive and is most likely what you will be familiar with from other plugins, so it makes learning quite a bit easier. Meaning, this is super friendly to all skill levels and a great way to play with those settings to learn what they all do. This is by far one of the best reasons to buy either of these units and why they're so nice to use. Okay then, with all that aside, let's talk pros and cons. Now, I went back and I watched my old pros and cons from the original DLZ video, and I have to say, I'm somewhat impressed with where we are now. However, I do have to reiterate something. The easy controls on this are not fleshed out enough, and I stand by this. It is a one-button approach to the DSP effects. It's either on or off for all of them. And people who have no experience may not know what's causing them issues when you turn it on. Again, the gate is still rather heavy-handed. But let's take a look at the mixer your girlfriend told you not to worry about and find out why you should worry. Just a little bit. So if you are having this issue and your words are dipping out, the only option on easy mode is to turn off all of the processing. So no EQ, compression, or de-esser. And I have to add to that, it gives the new user no way of troubleshooting an issue with any of the separate DSP effects, which is kind of the reason you have an easy mode, so you can ease your way in to learning. The enhanced mode gives you the extra control, so it almost makes you wonder why the easy mode even exists. Now, I'm not saying I know the answer to this, but I'm saying this easy solution doesn't work. And lastly, for cons, I do have to point this out. This USB cable that comes with the unit is absolutely useless just due to its length. Yes, it's fine for a laptop setup, but most desk setups require just a bit more length. I know it's a bit nitpicky, but having to purchase more just to get your setup working right is a bit of a letdown. And an extra $20 for some is a lot. Just saying. But unlike my first video, this is the end of the cons for these units. Even the concept of the hammer pads, as I called them back then, I've gotten used to them needing more pressure to fire, so I think I can put that one to bed. The inability to use this stuff with a network has obviously changed with the NDI stuff. So there have been some massive strides with these units. And that is really cool to see. The only other thing that some might see as a con are the lack of faders, but even as a fader junkie myself, I can say the screen is the big makeup for that. Now, this is a personal choice thing, but seeing that big, beautiful screen does kind of make me forget about the faders. And as we move into the pros, well, it all still kind of stands. I love all the same things that I loved about the original, but the one addition is the size. It now makes my desk more livable, yet I don't give up too much to get that. I'm okay going down to 2 preamps for my PC setup and relying on the Mac to add the extras when I need them. This is a really nice complement to their lineup and an offering of something different if the Rodecaster Duo doesn't have everything you need. Again, that comparison is coming soon. Get subscribed so you don't miss it. Now, as for things I kind of would love to see for this in an update, there's really only one. With the lack of extra controls, some of the controls have moved off to the side controllers or even the on-screen control. Now, that is fine, but I would like to pick which controls go where, kind of like what you can do with the Rodecaster lineup. Now, there are knobs that would be used much less than others, and those controls are the ones I would put off to the side or even the touchscreen controlled. It's just a little bit of customizability that would make this thing pop even more. So then, the big question is, should you buy the Mackie Dlz Creator XS? Again, I think Mackie is really zeroing in on perfection here. I like the fact that there is a differentiation between the Mackie brand and the Rode brand, and it's not just one company doing a copy-paste. There are actual reasons to buy one over the other. There are features that might be the tipping point for you on one or the other. Touchscreen alone makes this a very attractive purchase. Yes, it is smaller than the Chungus, but it's still massive compared to Rode's. But I think what I like most about this unit is it tells us that Mackie is still here. And I know there have been many that have been concerned about that since Rode brought Mackie under their umbrella. Seeing things like this means a lot to the Mackie fans that have grown up with the brand and have stayed true to their name. This is exciting, and it tells me there's more in store in the future for them, and that is something to be excited about. Cheers, guys, and thanks for watching.
Oh.